Yes, here we go. P.M.P. It is after a nervy finale, but we got the win. That's all that matters. You know, the song says piling on the agony, putting on the style. I do think today piled on a bit of agony, though, for our rivals, because if you'd watched that first half, I quickly was at this. Oh, hello, last season. How are you? Long time no see. But we got there in the end in a game that I don't think, were it last season, we get the 3 points from. So that is encouraging for me, and I do think it piles on the agony, as I say, for our rivals. Terry joins me for the P.M.P. You good, bud?
Yeah, very good, Bhoycie. In a sort of weird way, I enjoyed the finish to that because we had to work for it, and there was a bit of sweat there, which it just makes it all the more enjoyable. And yeah, you know what? There were probably a couple of dressing rooms across the country where players were maybe thinking, "Oi, oi, here we go." But we got the job done. Had to work hard. Wasn't pretty. I will be honest with you. I still felt we would get the points somehow or other. I mean,
I was more relaxed than I was this time last season. And that's true.
I said to him, if we get the first one by 75, I said that gives us 15 plus a bit of stoppage. We'll get the job done, and we did. We got the breakthrough finally in and around that moment, and then the winner later on. But I was relaxed. I felt at some point we would get the opportunities, and it was just a case whether we took them or not.
Yep, agreed, mate. We'll do all that good stuff, then we'll get stuck right in. All that good stuff means give us a wee like, give us a share, buy some hair. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like so many of you have, it's $1.99 a month. It just keeps the wheels on the road. It certainly helps the channel out. And obviously, as I say, this year, you'll see it all sort of getting distributed out. Terry's going to be the benefit of some sort of gift this month. I don't know what he's going to want.
Go check. Aberdeen won it. Aberdeen won up in the first couple of minutes.
No, we need to get a video printer for that. I haven't even got the banner. There we go. We need to get a video printer, mate, with live scores. I don't know how to do that. That'd be pretty cool if we were doing it. We could do we could fucking do one day like a fucking SPL Soccer Saturday. Imagine us all like just sitting doing it in that style, mate. Just like everyone's watching an individual game. No, like no.
I'll be Paul Merson.
But remember, do hit the subscribe button as well, and hit the wee bell so you never miss a bus. Also, right? Okay. One of those days at the office, Terry, where it felt, as I said, hello last season's a bit of a joke, but at the same time, it was very reminiscent in terms of the sluggish style of play. Brendan wasn't particularly enthralled by it either. He said that at half time, and I think you could look at the subs he made pretty early to see that's not what we're looking for this year. You know, it's not about getting the job done. Well, it is about getting the job done, but that's not the mindset we're going into games with. I think last season there was a case of fucking anyway, by hook or by crook, try and keep it safe, play a wee bit safer if you're not feeling any confidence. But the confidence we've seen the side play with has took us to a level where we're expecting the 3 points, and then we're wanting to put a bit of pizzazz on it. However, it's also remiss to think a team that gets humped 7-1 midweek don't come in with their confidence levels dented to an extent. And I think we've seen a natural reaction at that. And I don't want to be overcritical for criticism's sake with things like that, because it doesn't mean that they've suddenly went off piece. I think the other narrative you could use, of course, is, well, hang on, that's your first night of adversity and so far this season, and you revert back to what would have been type last season. So there is two sides to it. My honest opinion is, I think it's just human nature that they've went in a wee bit low on, sort of confidence, self-esteem, and that can then lead to maybe making more changes to the lineup. Turns out it was actually the subs that I think did be pivotal, and I was playing a different style towards the end of the game and getting into our groove and getting the 3 points. But you knew after 20 minutes, didn't you? You went, fuck, this could be a long afternoon potentially.
Three away games in a week, Bhoycie, 3 very different challenges. So we had St Johnstone away, which was a procession. Then we obviously know what happened in Dortmund, and then today presented a different challenge. We didn't come out of the blocks. We didn't get an early
banana skin, Terry.
A banana skin. Always is, Bhoycie, until you get the first goal at least. But you've put me off now. We didn't even look like getting the breakthrough, to be honest. 30 minutes in, we still hadn't had a shot on target, and it just was one of those ones where there was nothing really happening. It wasn't that we were creating lots of chances and missing them. We weren't really doing anything. We had the possession, we were knocking it about, but it wasn't at the same tempo as it has been in the domestic games so far. And you probably felt that there was an inevitability that Ross County would go up the pitch and get the breakthrough as well. And it turns out that's what happened. But up until that point, there wasn't really anything in either goal mouth. There was a couple of skirmishes, but it felt to me as if we were slow. We were sort of lapsing back into that kind of keeping the ball's sake, like we did last season. But I suppose if we put it back to last season as well, what I felt at half time was if this is reminiscent of last season, then we should expect a much better second half. And
that's a valid point too. Yeah.
Really kick in until he made the subs, to be honest.
That's a really valid point that you make there about the game of two halves thing, because we said that a lot. And therefore, yes, if it is going to be true to form from last season, it was a wee blast for the past today, then we kind of showed that, didn't we? That we were going to get we came out of the poor half only a goal down. Terry, I wasn't surprised we went a goal down. To be honest with you, such was we weren't creating anything. And you just know in these games, you give up one fucking chance and they'll take it. Right? It's just going to be one of those days. And that just felt like I had that feeling to it, particularly in the first half. The penalties, stonewall as you'll get. There's no complaints. Liam Scales has got his arm in a stupid position. That's not one of these ones where they can look at it and go, what was it? The Rangers manager was talking about recently biodynamics or something. He was trying to get in it. Or biomechanics or something. Shut up, mate. But yeah, his arm's up there, and there's just no need for it to be. I don't see any natural sort of instance where that would be what your body has to do. So it wipes all that bullshit out. I know they're trying to be of a different mindset this year by dishing out handball after handball. But for me, you don't have a fucking choice with that. That just is what it is. Didn't see too many complaints at the time. Then we get in to the real talking point, unless you've got anything to add on the handball.
No, the only thing I don't know how Kevin Clancy missed it, because I called it as soon as I seen it.
Fucking weird. That's a great point. Yeah. I hadn't thought that.
I don't know how it's needed to go to VAR for it to be given. And Scales is one of these players. Most centre backs you see them doing it now with when they're jumping the player that they have their hands behind their backs. He does that quite a lot, but on this occasion, for whatever reason, he just had his arm up in the air. Now, absolute stonewaller, but surprised that Kevin Clancy missed it in real time.
Yeah, but that again though, that see, just to be consistent as well. If we're ever going to be highlighting referee stuff and that, and we think they're incompetent, then it's only fair to say that is incompetence on the referee's part by not giving that penalty against Celtic in the initial moment. Because that is again another example of, you can't say there's bias involved there. You can't say fuck all. That's when you're really looking at it going, how do you not see that? Actually, I hadn't even thought of that, Terry. Do you know that?
Yeah.
I was too busy pissed off at the actual instance of it as opposed to the penalty give away. But see, it comes to the penalty, real time, you don't notice it. That Kasper Schmeichel's off his line. They then do the screen grab, and it might be clutching at straws a bit, but his foot is meatily on that ball by the time they've done the screen grab. And we are talking now, nanoseconds make a difference. I think it's closer when he's first made contact with that ball, before he's like sort of got his, that Schmeichel's closer at that line. Do I think it's a harsh decision? Well, let's go back to the competence thing. We have seen the screen grabs. I didn't even want to mention these ever. I was never going to give it any attention. But now this has happened this week, we will. And you see a lot of people talking about it online already as well. For them to review that quick and realise that's a retake and tell the ref retake. Where was that last week? Where was that eagle eye, that Hawkeye, Terry, going straight away? Oh, boom, there's an infringement. Yep, that'll need to be taken again. We didn't see that same energy, that same speed of thought by the VAR officials to make sure everything's done to a T. Now, you could argue, to be fair, after last week, they have been told, you fucking get all over every single penalty decision and start remembering the rules. Yeah, because you've missed one there, and
So
therefore
you're touching back on Rangers Hibs. Is that
yeah,
what
Rangers Hibs the infringement thing. Yep. And now it's all the rules you've got to be encompassing, and we need you to be all over it. And therefore, naturally, they've been sharper this week then because they've had a hiding from the week before, and it's just been tuned in as a working point of learning this week. So it's at the forefront of their mind to be making sure when there's a penalty, because that was blatant last week as well, that there was an infringement. Steve McGonigal says, "What about Casper stomping on the penalty spot before? Bit of gamesmanship. I don't really care. See, to be honest with you, I'm not going to get too dragged into that. See, to me, I've seen plenty of instances. I remember playing Rangers, I think it was Scottish Cup final, and John Hartson used a loophole in the rules to stand off the park. So he wasn't offside as we were taking a corner and just walk back on and no one could pick him up. Gamesmanship happens. It'd be fucking boring if they were all squares. I don't mind seeing a bit of that. That's fucking fine to me. But the actual save itself, brilliant. He's read it perfectly, Schmeichel. I think he's closer at the line than it still shows, Terry. I think they're absolutely spot on, to be perfectly honest with you, to give it eventually. But I would like to have seen that consistency last week as well, and that same attitude shown. However, I can understand them being at the forefront of their minds this week.
Yeah, I mean that's all you do want, consistency. But as you know, in Scottish football, you're not going to see it. You're going to see incidents that happened in this game today that will be dealt with differently next week. And there's one that went in Celtic's favour later on in the game, which you'll see somebody getting a yellow card for getting into the crowd next week, and our player didn't get a yellow card for getting into the crowd, and it'll happen to us as well. The next Celtic player that goes into the crowd will get booked, and then he'll be going, well, I seen Nicholas Kuhn doing it last week and he got let off with it. It's just inconsistency, and you drive yourself up the walls if you start thinking it's one team getting preferential treatment. And I don't know. I just think they're poor. They're inconsistent. The rules change from week to week. In terms of that one today, I seen it a little bit. I thought Schmeichel was a little bit naughty, to be honest. I don't see the need to do it, to be fair. And
I think anyone does anything to grab a small advantage, though, Terry. Like, I think, see, when you look back now, you watch football from the reason everyone's kind of hanging on to yesteryear, I think football in particular, try to get my words out there, is because I think there was just a wee bit more needle. There was a bit more personality in the game. And I think these wee bits, whether it's classy or not, I don't think you need 11 classy players all the time, with everything they do in life. Fucking just turning into fucking watching 11 squares against 11 squares. I'm not bothered about that. I've got to be honest. He's trying to gain a small advantage. He's trying to see what he's trying to do really is delay the kickoff. The penalty take. He's trying to delay that. He's trying to get in the other guy's head. It's not about what he's doing to the grass. I mean, that is not going to have went, oh, honestly, he's now playing on like a sandy beach. Come on. There's not much in it.
You could just see a scenario, mate, though, where we get a penalty in the second half on the same spot and we miss it because the ball bubbles off before somebody hits it.
We'd have an excuse lined up for that, mate. That would be fucking Ingles. He started well. What that penalty, mate?
Well, what about him today, Bhoycie? If you watched that game today and you were told there was an £11 million player on the pitch, you'd have struggled to pick out who it was. Like it definitely wouldn't have been him.
No, Ingles. But you know what? Again, he's 21 years old. They're going to have ups and downs. The title win that we accomplished this season will have games with last-minute winners in it where we've not been at the races. There's not one title we can go back to start to watch Celtic where these games aren't a part of it. So, Ingles, and there's not one of these seasons you can look back to, maybe apart from the King, where you could say your star player or your biggest sign of the season didn't have a fucking stinker. So, we can't look for constantly perfection every single game. Well, we can look for it, but we can't be too critical when you don't get it because no one's capable of it. And that's the way it is. So I'm not going to get myself overly caught up in how Ingles played. I thought it was a difficult week for him. Full stop. I think he's probably went from being one of his club's star men, but being a very small tadpole in a massive ocean that's the Bundesliga, to now going and now being a shark in tiny waters like Scotland. And that what comes with that, Terry, is a media sort of focus that he'll never have experienced at Augsburg, combined with Champions League debuts, debuts of the week, and then Champions League hiding midweek back home in Germany. It's going to knock stuffing out of him, mate. Going back to Germany, and that's what you leave with. But probably people in the German media, if they're anything like I was going, why on earth would you leave Augsburg for that crap? Do you know what I mean? So probably had a lot on his plate. And then Ross County away, from one extreme to the other. I mean, the Dortmund ground to Ross County away.
It always looks worse at Ross County, Bhoycie, with the camera.
Oh, it does, eh?
The worst one. It's the worst one of them all.
It is. I agree with that, mate.
Those smaller grounds, sometimes you're watching a different game whenever the camera's elevated, and it always looks as if it's a poor spectacle. Definitely at Ross County. I always say that because you're at pitch level, and it never looks the same, and the game always looks worse than it actually is. And I'm not calling Engels out. I'm not calling any of the players out. I thought it was a pretty poor day all round. But what I think when we've said in the early games where he looks an absolute baller, I think we also
you're okay to see, wasn't it? Yeah.
There's games where he's very little input, and even his touch and everything he tried today, nothing just came off for him. And there's going to be days like that, as you say. He's a young lad. If he was perfect, we wouldn't have got him.
Yeah, well, totally. And you know what we wanted to be doing, as much as he's expensive thing, he's in here for the here and now. When he's at that age profile as well, we're wanting to work with these guys and make them better overall, and to make a player more rounded and better overall. Part of his education is going to involve tough days at the office. That was a learning curve for him today as well. Massive learning curve. I mean, he's, as you said, 3 away games there with such different challenges ahead, or involved in them. Sorry, I think he is overall bigger picture wise. Engels comes out of this week a better version of Engels than what he was before he started last week. That is the honest reality. If you're wanting to be sort of give him a pass on today's performance at all, look at the positives. Talk to me about the second half, Terry. Where do you think it all changed from, or what do you think the trigger was in Celtic's change? I've got a feeling I know what you're going to say.
I think the easy answer and the obvious one is whenever the subs are made. I kind of hoped he would make changes at halftime, and even before this game, I had McCowan in my head as maybe he might get a start in this game, given that we got a bit of a chasing during the week, and a game like that where you're chasing your opponent for 90 minutes, it tires you out a lot more than if you've got all the possession and you've got the ball. The running, the endless running, and not getting any benefit from it. You're just chasing shadows. That really, really tires you. And I just thought today might be tailor made for someone like McCowan. And he's not that I sat and watched a lot of Dundee, but he's played in games like this, and he's bossed games like this, playing for a club where he doesn't have the same talent around him. And I just felt he might throw him in, or he might then bring him on at halftime. But the changes that he does make, he makes three on the hour mark. He was considering 4, and he just held Forrest off for a little bit longer. But Engels came off, no real surprise. Although it could have been McGregor as well. Hatate came off. I thought Hatate out of the 3 starting midfielders was maybe the brightest, but out of those 3 that started, he left McGregor on. Then he brought on Bernardo and brought McCowan on at that same time. And then he brought on also Kyogo for Ida. I mean, Ida, he huffed and he puffed, but nothing, just same with the rest of the players. Nothing that he was trying just seemed to come off, and he wasn't getting any space. He didn't really have any clear-cut opportunities. And then the manager obviously makes that triple change. It seemed to bring a little bit of energy into the team. And from that period onwards, from that 60-minute mark to the end, that was a spell where we started to dominate. We cranked it up a bit. You could feel that. You could feel the momentum starting to shift. You could feel that we were we were starting to create a lot more opportunities. Bhoycie, who was my man of the match, by the way, I thought he was excellent going forward.
Yeah, he had a good game.
He was starting to get into very deep positions, and he was firing across low balls, and you're just thinking at some point somebody's just going to get on the end of this. But everything was breaking okay for County, but there was definitely a shift in momentum, and it felt to me that we were going to get the fruits of our labour at some point.
Yeah, it did. It did have that element to it as well. But it did feel like I was like you. Do you remember last season we sat and I was like, I said I didn't leave the couch, mate, because I knew we weren't going to get a goal. Today I was more on the edge of it, but in a weird way, similarly relaxed, but with a confidence this time around. With a confidence, not a knowledge that we would do it, but a belief that we would do it today. I think that is important. And last season, there was almost a resignation in these sort of games. You thought, I don't know, particularly the midpoint. I think after the first third of the season, the performances I've spoken here about is a phenomenal record. We had 15 games, 12 wins, 3 draws, 0 defeats. But during that time, we'd known ourselves that we weren't playing particularly well. We weren't inspiring confidence exactly. And I genuinely felt that today that there's more of because of, and that's evidence-based as well, because of the levels of performances we've put in, and if there has been improvements made to the squad overall, which we could argue about should have been done sooner, etc. But you're talking about those 3 subs there. I do have more confidence now, Terry, when I see them coming on than I did home coming on last season. Things like this. I look at, and by the way, see, to be honest with you, I have more confidence with Bernardo coming on this season than I did Bernardo last season. If that makes any sense at all. I thought all 3 subs were crucial to the result. Kyogo's got the movement. He brings such a different dilemma, and that's what we always loved about the him and Giacomakis dynamic, and that's what we like about the Ida and Kyogo dynamic is one's going to piss you off for an hour with one variety of play, and the next one's going to do a completely different box of tricks than the other. And if you're a defender and you're at the hour point and you've been a physical sort of really sort of fucking roughed up encounter with Big Ida, and then it's now I've got to chase shadows for the next half an hour with Kyogo darting about everywhere with his intelligent movement, keeping you alert the whole time. That's a nightmare. It's a nightmare the other way as well. If you're knackered having been doing that for the first hour, and then someone comes on who's going to fucking, be right up against you, ready to hold the ball up, throw you about, try and ragdoll you, that's again, you go, fuck this. So it's brilliant to have those 2 different dynamics, and we've seen the benefit of being able to switch them today as well. Luke McKibben comes on. It was a strange comment I seen earlier. Someone saying it's funny everyone calls him young. I've not seen too many people calling Luke McKibben young. In fact, if I'm honest, to whoever it was that posted it, I didn't quite catch her name. I think there was a lot of angst that he was maybe too old and it wasn't inspiring as a signing. 26-year-old, and I'm like 26. Fuck me. I think he comes on and plays like someone who's done his apprenticeship though, mate, and isn't doing his apprenticeship at the same time. He ain't spooked. He still plays his own game. And Bernardo, some lovely touches as well, I thought, from him. There was a couple of moments I thought, he is really at it. There was as well, though, wasteful set pieces also from him. One was good, then one was poor. You're like, fucking hell, man. But I think the 3 subs at that point definitely all came on and helped guide us to where we needed to go to, which is obviously to get in the 3 points.
I think you had in the other one as well, Bhoycie. He didn't make it at the same time, but he made it 5 minutes later.
Forrest, yeah. 5 substitutions.
Again, going back to your point, if you're that fullback and you've been chasing Maida, you've probably had sleepless nights about playing against Maida. You've done okay. Maida did get a few chances and could have scored, but you've chased him for the best part of 70 minutes, and then James Forrest comes on and starts running at you. And I thought Forrest, whilst the end product wasn't there, he was inventive. He was taking men on. He was trying to make things happen. And I think it was the right change at the right time. I think it was a toss up, to be honest, whether it was Maida or Kuhn that would have come off for Forrest. And I probably would have kept Maida on just for I just thought Kuhn
I
was
thought
very
you looked
flat.
tired, mate. I thought you looked a wee bit. I thought you
Yeah,
looked
but I thought Kuhn, other than
I
wandering
like
around
Kun
in the
today,
first
mate.
couple of minutes,
He had a bit of needle in him, mate. I've
I
never
but I
seen him
thought
with that attitude today.
I thought most of the play was coming down the left, and I just felt that he wasn't really influencing the game much. But what do I know at the end of the day?
I thought the big difference with Kun today to me was this is when you know someone's now not overawed or think they now know they're a main part of this team. They're going to be influencing outcomes. They're actually, it's on them because he looked like he was feeling the pressure a bit, but in a good way. He was channeling it aggression, mate. I don't mind that because see whatever anger he had in him, that to me, that finish he does, I know we're jumping ahead here, but that finish he did, mate, was the coolest finish he's done since he joined Celtic. That is the coolest of them all. And that tells you, as John Lydon once famously sang, anger is an energy. And I think he utilised it well. He showed he was a bit pissed off today. I don't mind seeing that. Because I think before he's been a bit of a wet blanket in terms of he goes about and he takes too long to shot. His hesitancy has been a word that's been used to describe him at times. I know this season he started electric. But today we've seen that wee bit of edge to him. I don't mind a player on the edge if they're going to channel it in the way he did. So I would disagree on the Kun one. But anyway, Mappy comes in. I think it is the Doug who sent in this message because it says 7 wins, 7 games, and still we have complaints. Why? Fucking hell, Mappy. You just happy, Mappy. Fucking get a grip, mate. We've got to have a wee conversation, mate. And if there's negative things, we're going to talk about them. And if there's good points, we're going to talk about them, just as we did with Nicholas Kuhn there. But if you want to come and go, we won our game of football, it was amazing. Just get off the bus, mate. It's fine. Just go find something else to do with your day. Because I swear to God, if we win a game of football and that means everything's mappy, what's the point in talking about it? We may as well not do the channel. So comments like that I just find funny. It's been a wee while since I took someone to school, so I enjoyed that. Terry, the goal itself, Cal McGregor, I'd been knocking on the door, I would say, before the opportunity, obviously, where it's his shot, that's Johnson who turns it, and it was probably going wide. You can't give Callum McGregor this season space at all in these areas, or he is going to hurt you. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a bit of that lady luck shining on him right now, where the ball's landing for him in these areas as well. Oh, you make your own luck, I suppose. You're in the right ones, but I still find it baffling, mate, that when he goes to line up a shot, there isn't someone almost instantly closing that down. That's a red alert sign. Do you know what I mean? Shit, the ball's booked to McGregor. You sprint for your life because he's shooting accuracy. I've said this before. When he was Brendan's attacking midfielder first time around, he was as cool a finisher as Dembele. He was as cool a finisher as Dembele. He was always, remember, he just used to pass them in the corner all the time. I think he got about 14 goals or something in Rodgers' first season, something like that. And I think to give him or allow him room to get shots off, and he'd warned you a couple of times, then the next time, the way it's going for McGregor right now is even the ones that are going wide will get turned in, and Johnson's the lucky guy who turned it in. But I thought that was an inevitable goal. When you look back at the sequences of play that led up to it, I think that was I think it was an inevitable type of goal Celtic were going to score. The warnings were there.
It was a very un-Celtic like goal. We don't tend to score dirty goals like that. And McGregor
I just couldn't believe it wasn't Maeda.
McGregor had a few sighters and had found Rosette a couple of times. I think, doesn't it come from a corner and Kyogo makes a run? Kyogo sort of caused a lot of mayhem. He got a little flick on and then the ball was cleared. It got to McGregor and it's going well wide. And I think the commentator was a bit kind. He said Johnston turned it in. I'm not too sure Johnston knew a great deal about it, but he was in the right place at the right time. But it's not one of those goals you see Celtic scoring. It's more like a goal that we would tend to concede. But it just felt like the momentum was there, and somehow or other we were going to get the breakthrough. And Alistair Johnston doesn't get very many, but that was an important one.
It certainly was. I've obviously spoken about Kuhn with ice in his veins. He'd be angry Nicholas Kuhn today, and I'll give you my take on the goal. I think, if I'm honest, we got a foul that, well, yes, it's a foul. If you want to go into the area of whether it's soft or not, I would say it's on the soft side, albeit if it's a yes or no question, is it a foul? It's yes. Do I think it's soft? Yes, I do. But if you're going to be given all the soft fouls, I think about 30 seconds before it, we're at the corner, and they should have been given a foul right before it. So I thought for Clancy to be right on top of our one and not their one.
Was that where Trusty and Bernardo were? Trusty had a couple of swings at it, didn't he?
I thought his first one was brilliant because it looked really, really strange what he was doing, but he was kind of just bending over it. It sounds a bit weird, but it was kind of just. It was kind of just he was kind of like bending over and harrying him right round from left to right, and I was like, that's unorthodox. However, he's not committing a foul. Then the second one, you went, he looks like he's fouled. He looks like the player looked fouled there. I wonder if it was his wee yelp that he let off. Like that, I was like, oh, shut up, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would annoy me if I was a ref, but you're not getting it now. Schooling like a wee baby. You're not a baby. Roy Keane says, yeah, baby. And then McCowan's one, though, to be fair, he is fouled. But I just think, oh, fuck, you were on that one quicker than you were on the other one. Happy days. But what you don't want to get forgotten in this goal is that's coming down for the sky. Look, McCowan's first touch. It's fucking quality, mate.
I wasn't going to let you go past that. I didn't know if you would mention it or not. That was the moment of the match for me. That was something.
I mean, he's got this mad spark about him. He's got the will of the fans. I know he said the people there. That sounded wrong. But when it comes down to it, I mean, he's got quality to him, mate. And he's maybe just been one of these players, a late developer in the game. We've seen loads of examples of it. For example, I've used it before. We signed Paul Hartley too late. See, Paul Hartley was 25. I know it's a year younger than McCowan. He was playing right wing for St Johnstone, mate. Right wing. And he was then holding midfielder for Celtic in the Champions League at 31. Just players develop as they go, and their position can change, and the way they actually play the game changes, and maybe maturity levels come out as well in them. And I think we've just got him, boom, right on time. That is perfect timing, I think, for someone to come in and really challenge for the spot. And he's not going on the don't start football matches for Celtic. Make no mistake.
There's lots of very, very talented footballers that just don't make it into the professional game, and sometimes it's luck, it's fate, it's attitude, it's application. But there's lots of superb players that just fall away. And for Luke McCowan, he's just found his best game at a later stage. I mean, Ian Wright was one of the good examples, wasn't he? He was playing non-league till he was about 23 or something, and then he ends up playing for England. So I think because McCowan's just new onto the scene, that's why anybody could be forgiven for thinking he's a young player, because he's kind of he's new onto the scene. But he is 26, and whatever the hold up has been in his development, whatever has led to him not making the breakthrough till a little bit later than other guys, he's certainly making up for it now. And again, I said as well, I thought he was an obvious signing for Celtic, and again, no idea why it took to deadline day for that one to happen. But we've been over that course before. I think he's knocking on the door for starts. It's probably not an easy one for him as well, because you go from similar to Engels. He was that kind of big fish in the Dundee team. He played every minute. He was the captain of the team. Everything went through him. He was a star man. And then you go to Celtic, and you know that you're going to have to fight very, very hard to get any kind of game time at all. Again, use the example of Home, a young player signed for the best part of 3 million and hasn't been able to get any sort of minutes on the park.
See, the minutes Home did from the park when he joined. Have you ever seen as much quality from him as what you've seen?
You haven't.
Already from McCowan. See these minutes? The minutes McCowan's having so far, by the way, just to be fair, are the same minutes that 8 of those 9 signings last summer were getting, by the way, still. They just weren't using them.
He's making a difference. He's making a difference. He's coming on.
That shows
he's influencing outcomes, and eventually that will manifest itself in a start at some point. Because even if Hatate, McGregor, Engels, and Bernardo, even if they're ahead of him, there'll be times where some of those guys are out injured and things like that. I think he'd get plenty of game time. I think eventually he'll get plenty of starts, and from what I've seen of him so far, I think he'll continue to influence outcomes. No, there's no
I
update.
wish you would look at me more.
Oh, it's there, but it was out last night.
Oh, it's the blue label. It's the blue label.
Oh, it's the blue label. Aye, it was out last night.
Is that the only way now? Is it just blue label for you now?
No. I'm just using that one bottle.
No,
it's not getting produced today.
What does everyone think in the chat? Let me know if you think that maybe Terry's gift for this month from the small, modest YouTube revenue we make, we could just get him as much blue label as we can with whatever funds we've got. How about that? I think that seems a fair deal, Terry. What do you think?
There'll be no Russian stuff today. Got too much of it.
No, today's fine, but I just mean in general, mate. I'm going to send you something this month, so you can blue label it. Just use all the funds on blue label.
I would never turn down a wee bottle like.
Aye, no worries. Oh, no, we'll get you a big bottle. I'll get you a couple. Oh, what is wrong with this Mappy guy? Moaning, groaning fans. We just spoke about Luke McCowan being shit. Oh, this guy, it's the dog, eh? I'm going to come back later in this. It's got to be the dog. It can't be this. It just can't be a person who's watching this. I don't understand what. I don't. Fuck, I'm mental.
I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon with today. I really enjoyed it. Because we had to work for it, and because there was a bit of stress involved, it's all the more enjoyable. You've got spring in your step because we had to dig deep to get it. It's if like last weekend's game where you win 6-0 and there's absolutely nothing. You kind of just feel you're just going through the motions, kind of thing. I enjoy these games where we're set a different challenge and we have to find a way to solve the puzzle. So I'm buzzing with the way today finished.
Right, goal flash, Terry. 1-1 Aberdeen Hearts. Right, see your honest opinion. I want your honest opinion, Terry. Fuck that, it's a Celtic channel we're on right now.
Yeah.
Honest opinion, you want Aberdeen to drop points today?
No.
You're damn.
No, I don't. I want them.
You're damn.
I want that.
I don't know if I see folks celebrating. I don't want that.
I want that game to. I want that game at Celtic Park to be two teams with 100% record going toe to toe.
Totally agree.
No, genuinely, I want Aberdeen to win today, genuinely.
And what annoys me is
I tell you better than that, Bhoycie. I want Aberdeen to continue this for the whole season.
Oh, so do I. You want a real challenge, mate. And you'd much rather see if we're going to be real. I'd rather the title, if it's going to be a competitive one. Well, I don't want it to be them. I'd rather it was Aberdeen.
Yeah,
I hate them. So I would much rather it be a team that a club that I've got respect for, that are in the right. I mean, it'd be nice for a real fist of it to be made. The closest they got, I think, in my opinion, was I know they finished second, I think, twice, even when Rodgers was there. But I think the Derek McInnes against Ronnie Dyler, second season, we really did make a bit of a hash of it. And I just don't think they believed then. I just wonder the starts, mate. If they were to win today, I don't know why we're still talking about Aberdeen, but if they were to win today, they're entering into when George Burley was in charge of Hearts sort of territory where, remember, let's see, 11 games, 10 wins, 1 draw.
He won the first 8 league games, I think.
I'm sure he was 10 wins from his first 11 and 1 draw, unbeaten, and they sacked him. And you know Aberdeen aren't going to sack the guy if he gets in there. So it'd be interesting to see this version 2 of that going, what does happen? And Aberdeen are probably, and Hearts are your sort of potential real viable third forces if they're all at it. And without any madness from Romanov, it'd be good to see. It'd be good to see what would happen with a team that keeps it going when they make such a start. Because momentum's such a big thing. How much fun would it be to see? How much fun would it see the Celtic Park game 200% records? It'd be fantastic. It's good for the league as well.
I'd like that, and I've said before these rumours about the guy up from Brighton potentially being interested in getting involved in Hearts. I'd love to see that as well. I'd love to see 4 strong teams, 5 strong teams. Well,
like we said, then your bridge, Terry, to Dortmund games and that isn't quite as big if you're in a far more competitive division. Celtic are all saying, if Aberdeen can continue this the whole season, you're conceding a game in the 19th. Now, I mean, if they were to continue this, there'd be 38 games, 38 wins. So definitely not quite what we're saying, Celtic girl. What we mean is we would like them to keep up the pace. Keep up the pace.
Obviously, I don't want them to win it, but
No.
it would be enjoyable for a challenge to come from somewhere other than any sort of challenge Rangers have given over the last couple of seasons. I just want the Scottish game to be the best version of itself, and having one team winning everything isn't that, and having two teams isn't that. So if we can get a stronger league, I'm all for it.
Yeah. The girls are at us, mate. They're at us. Look, surely Aberdeen losing today would mean we go into the next game with less pressure on our shoulders. I like it being more pressure in the league than not in the league. And I'll go back to it. I think when you have games with no pressure, such as the St Johnstone one, as much as it was the Harlem Globetrotters and all that sort of stuff, it doesn't prep you for Dortmund away. Pressure games prepare you for the Champions League far better. So that's just the way I see it, though. And AR, yep, you learn a lot more with a victory today than 6-0 against Johnstone. Well, that's my point. So you add in tricky games, then add pressure, and then you kind of get what is meant to be the Champions League, obviously, which is that, those two terms on steroids, do you know what I mean? When it comes to the Champions League levels. Terry, what did you make overall then of the week? I know obviously we came on Tuesday night, it was a tricky night. The result, it was trickier because, as we said, it wasn't the result we were expecting, right? In terms of Champions League, it can happen, but we went in with this real belief. It's the hope that kills you. We've said that to who loads of times, mate. It's the hope that kills you. I think there was genuine hope, and based on evidence as well. Since then, it's hard to get yourself up for it today. I wonder if as well what was really confusing from a mindset point of view was we had till the Sunday to play today, which must be a TV decision, obviously, because it's weird that your nearest title rivals, Aberdeen, and then of course Rangers, are all on the Sunday. So we didn't learn anything yesterday, and I didn't like that. I wanted to learn something before today, because sometimes that can be a trigger as well. Oh, Rangers dropped points, or Rangers won, and the same for Aberdeen. And that can sort of be a motivator. Yeah, we were actually the ones setting the tone today on the back of quite a long lull, because it's been 5 days since we played, which, gee, to be honest, 5 days is longer than we quite often go in this period of the calendar. So how did you feel this week? Would you have liked a wee bridge game yesterday between one of the other teams, just to work as a wee trigger for today?
I don't really pay that much attention to it, Bhoycie, to be honest. I mean, those two games that are taking place today had to be on Sunday because of involvement in the Europa League. So Hearts were playing on Thursday night, and Rangers were playing on Thursday night, and probably this game today was picked for TV, although it still could have been TV and done yesterday, I suppose. Coming out of the whole week, I mean, see the one in between. I know I said on Tuesday night that before we even finished the pod that was it. I'll just forget about it and get on with it. And I've tried to think about it from a different perspective, and say the manager had been a bit more pragmatic, and I'd never heard the word pragmatic before until Jose Mourinho appeared, and it always seems to be a word that's associated with him for just and.
Well, I've got a couple of comments on this as well. That it came in. So I'm just going to bring up Dot Boy. I do want you to continue, Terry, but just to give Dot Boy his sort of mention here. He put this up earlier and it starred it. So you've just led us into it really nicely. His timer, Brendan introduced a low block setup in our next Champions League game away to Atlanta. Ross County set up well today. It could easily have taken points off us. It's a great result, though. I think Aidan McGeady, I don't know if you noticed this at halftime. Did you listen to the halftime analysis at all?
No, I make my dad a cup of tea at halftime.
Good lad, Terry. You're a good lad. McGeady basically.
I do my dishes at halftime as well.
It's only emptying out glass tumblers, mate. Halftime, McGeady, they're talking about the penalty decision, right? And as they go, so Aidan, what are your thoughts on the penalty? He manages to turn it into, Ross County's approach to games what Celtic should have done on Tuesday. So I went, he's been eager to get that one across.
Yeah, he's prepped that all week.
Any complaints of the decision? Like the guy's arms up there, and he's like, "Yeah." And I just think with Ross County, that's how they, Celtic should have approached Europe. So I thought, okay, McGeady's wanted to get this one off his chest because he's not really answering the question there. He's going down the road of how Celtic should be able to adapt. Dot Boy speaks specifically of the low block setup. I don't know enough about the tactical stuff to say like it should be a low block or anything. But is there a warrant? Say in the argument now when we look at how Ross County budget wise different strategy from Celtic. Celtic probably closer to Dortmund than what Ross County are at Celtic, to be perfectly honest with you. Is there an argument to say if you can go in with a more defensive approach and then you can nick a goal, something like that, there is something to protect? And do you come away, say the same outcome happened in Dortmund like happened for Ross County today and you lose it 2-1, do you come into the weekend with as little confidence what you did from 7-1? I think you're coming far, far back. You're deflated, you're gutted. You're gutted at the result because you thought you had a chance. Whereas Tuesday, was you're gutted at the result because you were fucking miles and miles and miles away. And you never had that heart-sinking feeling of, they've scored in the last minute, which I think teams can bounce back from because you take confidence from that in Europe's top competition. You go, right, we were right in that there. Celtic weren't in it really on Tuesday. And I just wonder if Dot Boy's got a point that, you could sort of look at what Ross County did today and maybe take a bit from that for our trickier Champions League games.
I've tried to think about it in different ways this week. And I mean, I think the manager, there's both a stubbornness and an arrogance with him that he's got his way of doing things. But I've tried to look at it from his perspective as well. And if every single week we work on stuff that is designed to break down teams that are sitting in and playing deep, then how do we try to change that just for 1 or 2 games a season? And also then I looked at it from a different point of view. We went into that game the other night with a confidence that came from what we had seen so far this season to date. And what that was attacking, inventive football, creating lots of chances, easy on the eye. If he had changed that in any way on Tuesday night to a more defensive setup and we still got beat by 2-3 couple of goals, which probably would have happened anyway, would we then have been going, well, hold on a second, why has he changed things? We've been buzzing since the start of the season. He's now gone and changed it for the fixture. We had a chance. We've been playing well. We've been scoring lots of goals. Now he's gone in there with a more negative mindset, and we've come away from it with nothing. Whenever if we'd gone and took them on, we might have got something. And I think the result and the outcome obviously dictates how you feel about it. But I kind of just was trying to consider it from that angle. If he'd tried to change things and we still got probably the result that we probably would have got, would we then have criticised him for changing it whenever everything, all the positivity that's been generated so far is because of the way we've been attacking?
But do you think then, if that's the mindset, he changes it for Atlanta?
I don't know. I think.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think he will. I think he'd go with the same approach, and I think in his head he thinks that this approach eventually will get us a result in one of these games. I think he just feels if we change it and we try to do something that's unnatural, we're probably going to lose anyway.
Mm.
I think that's how he sees. But I think he's got an arrogance. I think he probably feels that approach to a game is beneath him, and he'll not change his way. It's almost as if I'm Brendan Rodgers. He talked a lot in his. I watched this pre-match interview that he done on it's either Friday or Saturday, and he talked about times where that approach has worked, and the not with Celtic so often, but he cited it where he took his Leicester team and they took Man City on and went toe-to-toe and got a result. And there were other games that he was able to pick out from his time down south where sticking to his approach got the outcomes.
And let's be honest. I mean, I think people forget that something like, he's put him against good opposition in the Champions League and he struggles. He's a domestic manager. Like, a lot of the games you play in England, particularly the top half of that table, are Champions League level matches. He wins them. He wins a lot of them. His record is phenomenal with that. So, he's had a lot of success at this level. Do you know what I mean? We're playing. I mean, Dortmund's a team of a level right now that he's had results against teams of a similar level, if not a higher one. We'd like to let
they were beat again yesterday. They were beat yesterday against Dortmund.
Yeah, we
Josip Juranovic's team.
Oh, fucking remember him. Oh, he was all right. He was good. He was good. He was irritating, mate.
He was a Croatian international.
Let's talk about Condor's point here as well, because I saved to start this from earlier, and I think it is important to give a good shout out. Like some of Trusty's passing today, missing out the square ball to Scales and going direct to Valley, especially in the second half. I remember at one point as well, in the second half, he's hesitating because he's wanting to make the right pass, Terry. And it was to go through. It was to go through Ross County's sort of attacking midfield to get it to the left to Valley. He'll take his time to do it. You heard them, you heard the fans almost getting a bit antsy with him. There was a bit of, come on. And I'm like, I much rather you hesitate a wee bit, but then make the right pass than do that hesitation thing and then just pass it 5 yard square. He was angling. He was waiting for the angle to be perfect, and he can execute it. I'm really excited to see what 5 to 10 games of fully fit Trusty, up and running, and I'll be honest, fully fit Cameron Carter-Vickers, sorry Liam, Scales, but and Trusty on his left side where he's meant to be, and no, he's the one who's trusted to be playing on the right side, not Scales. I think that already tells you who Brendan Hinks is more, keep you in your lane. Trusty, I'm more confident playing you slightly out of position. I think he's got a bit about him, mate. I think he will come very good for us, and don't be too quick to judge.
I hope he does, boys. I really, really want him to be the player that we've been waiting for. And I'm not going to judge him in these early games. And I do think it is really important that you consider that he is playing on his unnatural side. I hadn't really thought about that, where he's the one that's trusted to play on his wrong side before Scales. My reading of the partnership so far is that Scales has taken the senior player approach. I think he's been getting Trusty through the games. That's how I read it and see it. I'm a bit concerned just on what I've seen so far that I'm not sure he'll take Scales' jersey, but I'm not going to write him off. I want him to succeed. I want him to be better than Scales.
I think he was good today.
I thought he was okay. I thought Scales was okay today as well.
Apart from just playing volleyball, but he was.
Yeah, I know.
It's that's influence on outcomes, mate. The negative way. These are the moments that you've got to take in. You can't just go, he was good today. Apart from the penalty, the other one that conceded a goal from. It can't be like that.
I think what we're expecting of Trusty is, because we paid the same fee that we paid for Carter-Vickers, and we've brought him from. He's had a similar sort of journey to Carter-Vickers down south. I think we're expecting him just to be Carter-Vickers, and that's never going to be the case. So it will be interesting to see whenever Carter-Vickers is back. He obviously goes back in again on the right hand side. It'll be interesting to see, does the manager then stick with Scales, or does he bring Trusty back in again? And if he sticks with Scales, then at what point do we get to see Carter-Vickers and Trusty playing together? That's going to be the question for me. Carter-Vickers is, I think Roger said Carter-Vickers would be back after the international break. So that game against Aberdeen, I don't see anything else other than Carter-Vickers and Scales, if I'm being honest with you, as long as Carter-Vickers gets back in again. I don't think Taylor's going to be back for that game. So that would be Bhoycie getting another opportunity.
But you felt better about him today, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought he was good today. I mean, he looked comfortable in possession, which you're going to expect to be a given for anybody that's come through the youth system at Barcelona. I thought he got forward very well. He was never really under much pressure defensively, and I think that's one of the things we've kind of always we've looked at with Taylor is whenever you have to defend, are you able to defend? And he was never tested today at any sort of point from that perspective. But going forward in possession, I thought he looked good. He inverted quite a bit, looked comfortable playing that role. He got to the byline quite a bit. I thought he was good today. I mean, is he an upgrade on Taylor? Probably not at this stage, but it's one of those ones. If he plays a couple of games, if Taylor's out for maybe two or three more games, and he continues to play the way he did, it'd be interesting to see on that one as well. But I was kind of hoping Trusty and Baye, not necessarily those two players, but the two signings that we went for in those two positions would push Scales and Taylor out of the team because they're better players than them, and that might turn out to be the case. I don't think it's totally obvious just on the first few appearances. But I'm not going to judge either player at this stage, and especially Trusty, because I think it's been difficult for him, as you say, on his wrong side and coming in, and for both of them again so late. Why was it left so late to bring in those players? They haven't had a proper pre-season with their teammates. They're just settling in really at this stage.
Do you it's international weekend again, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Another break.
That fucks me off, man. I thought we were in the nitty gritty now. I didn't realise there was another one now. What the fuck's all that about? Fuck off. It blows life at me. But is it across the world, or is it a European one, or is it going to be all international teams? Because what you're hoping is then, from the pre-season argument, that is, if there's some players that are left behind, we'll get to see them stay at Celtic, maybe get some more of the lessons that they missed.
Celtic have got a game, a friendly game on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Sligo.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view,
if you don't mind.
You want to do a P.M.P for that?
I might pass. Get the optic out for Sligo in a friendly. But here, do you know what it might do though, Bhoycie? I think thinking ahead, this Aberdeen game, whatever way the result goes today for Aberdeen, it's going to be a top of the table clash whenever the players come back. And traditionally, the first game back after the international break can be a bit disjointed, especially in the first half, because the players have been all away. And I'm again just thinking about that midfield conundrum. McGregor won't be away, but Engels will be away with Belgium. Bernardo will be away with the Portuguese under-16s. And
under-16s? How old is he?
23. No, he's 23, but he's the captain of the under-21s because whatever
I don't get all these rules, eh?
It's something to do with whenever the tournament started, he was under 21. I don't know what happened there, but
international football's such a fucking joke, innit?
Like, where I'm going with that one is if some of those guys are away, but McCowan's at Celtic Park or Lennoxtown for the next 2 weeks, does that strengthen the argument for giving him a starting position? If Hitate's been travelling, Engels has been travelling, Bernardo's been travelling.
Will Trusty be away with USA?
I don't know.
That's the one I don't know. Anyway, just big shout out to Teresa Lyle Media. Look at this. 28 months, she says, of epic content.
Brilliant. Thank you.
But that's amazing. Being a member that whole time. That is literally since
that must be from near the start, Bhoycie.
Oh, that must be when the membership thing started, because I didn't even know it had been as long as
week one of membership.
That's amazing. No, a big shout out to you. Terry, before we wrap it up, wee bit of fun. Steve McGonigal came in early, says, Terry, oh no, not that one. Shit, I brought up the wrong one.
What was that?
It was the other one. Just park the Bhoycie bus. Stop saying low block. All these silly sayings come from the sky. Terry, what football sayings do your head in? There is plenty, eh? It's weird when you're on the spot, isn't it?
It's a game of two halves.
Oh.
do you know what does my head in? Well, it doesn't do my head in. It's funny, and it's just managers' rhetoric speak, and they say the same things all the time. And I always play the press conference, Rodgers' press conference, which is usually on a Friday, and I usually stick it on at some point, and my wife sits there and she starts to snigger, and she knows I just play bingo with it. I say, right, within the first 2 minutes, he's going to say mentality. And at some point, he's going to say attitude. He's going to talk about intensity. Of all these words, and I just play it out. And every single week, he just hits every single word. And she's sitting there going, "You're just such a dickhead! Like you're sitting laughing at something so stupid."
My worst one, mate, but I think it is my worst one. Philosophy. Fuck off. Pack your wee philosophy. Put in a suitcase and get the fuck out of my office. If I was the chairman, I go, what's your... See, if I was hiring you for your fucking thoughts, right? It wouldn't be a football club. I'm hiring you to go win me some fucking football matches, right? So see your philosophy. It better be winning. And see if you've got a wee game plan to get us to win. Brilliant. But see if you want to be Vincent Kompany and you want to come get my club relegated and then fuck off to Bayern Munich because your philosophy's won out. See if you manage Postecoglou and get 2 points to the Champions League and go to Spurs. Just a joke for those watching, just a joke. But your philosophy's intact, but my club suffers for it. Fuck off. See, philosophy is managers putting they're protecting their career. See, when I hear that shit, we won't sacrifice our philosophy. You fucking will. If I was a chairman, I'd be like, you'll do exactly, you'll get me wins or you'll be out. Simple as that. I don't
see that low block. See the more I think about that low block does it. Like, what does that even mean? What does a low block even mean?
Well, that's what Stephen McGonagall saying. He said it means part of the Bhoycie Bus.
what about flat back four? Flat back four, you know?
Oh, flat back four. Keep
high line. What's
a
high line mean? High line or high press.
Keep it tight. I'm always like, what do you mean keep it tight? I've got 2 wingers on. I've got overlapping fullbacks. Keep it tight.
Invert it. What is inverted fullbacks? They're just moving into midfield. That's all they're doing. Inverted.
Yeah, inverted sounds good though, doesn't it? That's how they do it. It's inverted. I mean, I watch that plant pot like Neville at times, you know, and it's I like it because Roy Keane's on it. That's why I watch his podcast thing, and you know he comes on. He's always like this. He talks like he's got a fucking like a balloon maker who makes like a dog with balloons. He's like, this. He talks. He's like, "Welcome to the Gary Neville podcast," and he calls his show The Overlap, and you're like, yeah, it's an overlapping run that you maybe made a few times in your career, but see that that's such self. I'll tell you another thing. If we're talking about football works, Terry. See, since the podcast era began, every player, mate, or former player, I should say, rewrites history. Not a day that went by I didn't give them all in training. You know, it was never my. I'm like, you can't all be telling the truth because it was right. Then they'll go, yeah, you missed those days though. You know, where there's more personalities in the game. Well, if I listened to your podcast all years and combined them all, it was the most square thing ever, apart from Nights Out. Trust me, they all completely rewrite their own history of being more model pros than normal. And that's why the most compelling ones are the ones where you go, a bit of self-deprecation there, a bit of honesty. That is a football up now that they'll all get a platform of some kind now to talk about their previous career, and they are rewriting it, eh?
But they're not shy. They're not shy to throw a teammate under the bus. Or
totally.
Bort's just standing smoking fags. I've heard that one a time or two.
Definitely. Right. Anyway, that's us. We'll be done. 4:10, Terry. Go enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thanks everyone who's jumped in. What? Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah. I enjoyed that today. At least we got the win and enjoyed your company as well. I will see you all later next time we're up.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.